Naruto versus Bleach, which verse is truly stronger? So when talking about which verse is stronger, there's a few categories that we can compare them on. Quantity, so which verse has more stronger characters. Strongest, which is basically which verse has the strongest singular character. And finally, which verse would win if they fought each other, which I'll cover near the end. Starting off with quantity, so here's a list of the top 10 strongest characters from each verse and let's compare them. So let's compare all of these 9 characters, starting off with Yuha versus Naruto. This one's pretty one-sided. Yuha completely out-hacks it and it's not really even close. He can see the future and even alter it, and I don't really know what Naruto can really do about that. Next is Ichigo versus Ishiki. This matchup is a lot closer than the last one, but I'm going to give the edge to Ichigo due to hacks. Ichigo has feats of him damaging Yuha, so he shouldn't have too much trouble cutting Ishiki. Ishiki can shrink a lot of Ichigo's abilities along with himself, but I'm still going to say Ichigo wins and is closer than a lot of people think. The next one's going to be interesting, Aizen versus Daemon. While Aizen does have a crazy amount of hacks and abilities, I don't really see a way he can counter Daemon's ability. Daemon is capable of reflecting harmful intent, so if you have the intention of harming him, you instantly get reflected back your intent. And as for more extreme intent like killer intent, the opponent would instantly die. So Daemon would win over a long period of time since Aizen can regenerate. Next we got Boruto versus Ichibe. Ichibe has a crazy amount of hacks at his disposal which indeed could kill Boruto, but Boruto just outscales him and is faster, so I'll just give the edge to Boruto here. And Boruto's hacks aren't too bad like his invisible Rasengan. Next we got Kaoki versus Jugram. Jugram's hacks are extremely broken. He has probability manipulation and has access to some of Yuha's abilities. But even though Kaoki is a fraud, he still wins. Kaoki has lightspeed rods and he can even shrink practically any ability that he can throw at him. And we haven't even seen him go all out in the manga, so I'm going to give this one to Kaoki. The next one is quite interesting. We got No Limiter Code up against Kenpachi. They both scale fairly relative to each other in AP and speed, but the deciding factor here is their abilities. Code's abilities are pretty useful. He can teleport around and with his claw marks he can also immobilize opponents. Kenpachi doesn't have any abilities out of the ordinary except one. Kenpachi Nishika basically allows him to cut through anything. It's basically durability negation, meaning he could one-shot Code, so Kenpachi should take this rather easily. Next is Momoshiki versus Yamamoto. If I'm being honest, this matchup isn't really that close. Momoshiki is capable of absorbing elemental based attacks with his Rinnegan and sending them back at least 2 times stronger. Assuming this is verse equalization, then he shouldn't have trouble doing so. Yamamoto can't really do much as his main abilities include fire which can get absorbed. Momoshiki can also stop time and hide his presence, basically making him invisible. So Momoshiki takes this fairly easily. Drought Valkyrie versus Sasuke Uchiha. This matchup is quite interesting because both characters actually have a way of winning, but I will lean towards Sasuke purely because of his instant win abilities, such as Amaterasu, soul stealing with his Rinnegan and Genjutsu based attacks. If Sasuke attacks Gerard and accidentally attacks his sword, he will get reflected back whatever damage he did to his sword. So if he scratches the sword, he's gonna get a massive cut somewhere on his body. But in most scenarios, Sasuke should win relatively easily. And finally for the last matchup, we got Gremmy versus Ida. This matchup isn't really fair either because Ida almost instantly would win due to her love ability. The second Gremmy looks at Ida, he's instantly going to fall in love, giving Ida complete control over him. The only exception to Ida's ability are Usutsuki's and blood relatives. So out of all 9 matches, the Narutoverse won 6 and the Bleachverse won 3. Now let's compare the strongest of each verse, Shibai versus the Soul King. The Soul King is known to be the strongest Bleach character. He stabilizes all 3 worlds of the living, which includes stars and galaxies inside them. So the Soul King should scale upwards of around universal. For his powers, he can see the future, alter it, and even rewrite it with the Almighty. His speed is unknown, but he's likely as fast as Yuha or other top tiers. Shibai Usutsuki, known as the strongest Usutsuki, is the creator of the Naruto universe. Shiba is capable of reflecting intent and is able to create storms with just a wave of his hand. As for AP, Shiba was stated by Amada to have transcended to a higher dimension where a physical body isn't needed, meaning that he would indeed be 4D, so he would be Universal Plus. But if the Soul King and Shiba both fought, I would say Shiba wins due to outscaling and outhaxing. Even though the Almighty is broken, Shiba still wins because his power is even stronger. He can basically materialize any thought into reality. Now for what you've all been waiting for, which verse would win if they both fought each other, Naruto or Bleach? Let's break this down. So almost instantly half of the verse from each side will be gone. This includes low to mid tiers just from the sheer chaos. Only top tiers realistically survive, specifically these characters will be Yuha, Gremi, and Aizen and more. From the Borutoverse it will be Daemon, Ida, Boruto, Momoshiki and more. The Bleach side has more heavy hitters, but the Boruto/Naruto side has more high tier characters. While characters like Gremi and Kenpachi will take up most of the verse, whoever remains, which will be only top tier characters from the Naruto side, will all team up on the Bleach side. Some of these characters include Jubito, Jubidara, Kaguya, and basically all the other Utsutsus. They all mainly survive just due to the fact that they're immortal or have a dimensional travel ability where they can just go and hide. And also the new characters that I forgot to mention, Jura and Hidari, they're around Ishiki's level and they're also going to be pretty hard to deal with. So while the Bleachverse will likely kill more of the Narutoverse because there's more characters in it, the Narutoverse will have more top tiers that remain. So just to give you all an idea of how this would play out, here's how many Naruto top tiers realistically would remain compared to Bleach top tiers, and it's pretty unfair. So in conclusion, I would say that the Boruto/Narutoverse is more powerful than the Bleachverse overall, but the Bleachverse has more powerful top tiers. Anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed. Thank you all for 5k again. Subscribe if you're new, and yeah, until next time. Peace.